Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of Twilight of the Thunder God by Amon Amarth. Alright, so we're finally doing it. The winners of the Battle of Sweden band tournament was Amon Amarth, and chosen by you guys, Twilight of the Thunder God is the album we are doing. Now I said first impressions, but I've heard this album before. I've heard this album plenty times before, but TV Fish hasn't. So I guess it's the first impressions in a way, but not for me. I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've heard it, but I have heard it. Either way, I'm looking forward to listening to it again.
Yeah, this album, although I haven't heard it, is a name that I've heard so many times. It's just when I think of the name of this record, it's a very familiar sounding name. So I know I've heard people talking about it a lot, but I just haven't heard the album myself.
Yep, so we're going to go listen to it in its entirety, and we'll be back to give you guys our thoughts, so stay put. Alright guys, we're back. We listened to Twilight of the Thunder God, and yeah, among listening to this, I instantly started going, oh yeah, this, that, whatever, because like I said, I haven't listened to this in a while. Certain songs jumped right out at me as songs that were my favorites on this album. Guardians of Asgard is a standout track for me. No Fear for the Setting Sun and Live for the Kill are definitely highlight tracks. The title track is also really good. The rest of the album has its peaks and valleys. A lot of it seems like it's one of those things where, like, and I'm sure TV Fish will agree with this, you could write a note about a song like great riff, for example, or cool vocals, or nice drum roll. And then you can write the same notes for every freaking song because that's how consistent this band is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a good album through and through. Definitely some highlights, but there's a little bit of, I guess you can call it like maybe lull periods where you don't really have much to say or much to write about. And that can be detrimental for guys like us who want to sit here and tell you about the album and we don't have anything to say because it all kind of just is all good kind of thing.
Well, as a first impression, I feel pretty similar to everything you just said. There were some cool moments. There were some moments where I just didn't know what to say, and I tried. I mean, for example, Embrace the Endless Ocean, the last track on the album. I had nothing to say until the very end with the fact that it fades out, which I think is cool to have this, the longest song in the album, 6 minutes, like 6.5 minutes. And it kind of fades out at the end. Like, I think it's a cool way of ending the album, except for like the few seconds of just silence afterwards, which was a little
20
weird.
seconds of just silence. Just cut it off, end your song.
But I think this song is a good example of like, what is there to say? There's really nothing that stands out,
There was something that stood out to me in that song, and that was the intro, because it was a tapping intro, which is something I didn't notice in the rest of the album, with the drum rolls going on over top of it. I thought that was kind of cool.
But other than that, there's really not much going on.
Par for the course.
So, and there were a few songs I kind of felt like that with, like, The Hero. But with The Hero, I liked it. It started to get a lot better at the bridge onwards, but the first half of the song was just very Varyags of Niklagard. The note I wrote sums it up. It's not bad, but I can't say much. It's pretty straightforward. What else is there? However, the highlight songs, all three of the songs you mentioned are some of my highest rated tracks, but also Tattered Banners and Bloody Flags is a really cool song as well. I really like the synchronized guitars and double kick that are happening there, which I'm glad is not overused on this album.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
The rhythm guitar has some nice changes in it, which I really like, and the bridge is cool. That was another common note I had, is that, wow, cool bridge, cool solo, nice solo.
The bridges really help break up the pace in the structures of this album.
They do, and they really help build up to a climactic moment, whether it's a solo or not. But the solo work on this album was really good. There was one that just really kind of just was the solo, and I think it was the title track, which is funny because I didn't have much to say about that song until the solo happened. I'm like, okay, this is when the song gets amazing, and that was a great solo. Guardians of Asgard had a really cool solo because it was very different from the first one. In Twilight of the Thunder God, the solo there is really crazy all over the place. In Guardians of Asgard, it's like a very slow burn, very tasteful, completely different kind of solo, and I really like that they have the creative liberty and, the liberty in their ideas to be like, okay, we're going to do this crazy solo here, and then for this song, we'll do a completely different one to fit a different tone and pace.
Yeah,
so
bring it right back and just do something completely different.
I like that a lot. But this album, like, as a first impression, was good. Like, I generally enjoyed it, and one thing that kind of came to me early, and it's been a while since I've listened to Amon Amarth. I know it's been a while since you've listened to this album specifically, but for me, I haven't listened to this album before, but Amon Amarth in general, I haven't checked out in a while. So I had to kind of refresh myself, like, okay, is it just going to be like standard things, you know, kind of over and over or what have you? But honestly, like, the guitars remind me what's so great about this band.
Oh, for sure.
The guitar riffs, the guitar melodies, the guitar solos, it's the guitar that is the driving force. Because if you look at everything else on its own, the drums are good, the drums are solid, and there's some really cool, neat stuff in there. Nothing overly spectacular. The vocals are very... I don't want to say samey like it's a bad thing, because it's a cool sounding vocal, but what you hear at first is pretty much what you're going to get.
Yeah, there's not a lot of variation in the vocals. It varies enough to the point where it doesn't sound like it's just one solid tone throughout the whole thing.
But it is still pretty much the same general thing. And not that that's a problem, it sounds good, but the guitars are what really shine with interesting riffs, catchy riffs, just really good stuff going on from the guitars. Always, pretty much. And that was what really makes this band as strong as they are.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about the guitars too, and being a melodic death metal band, is the melodies are really good. They're catchy, you can definitely swing along to them. But another cool thing about them is the melodies of the guitars often match and kind of have this cool marriage with the melodies of the vocals as well. You hear it a lot. An example could be a song like Live for the Kill, which is track number 9. It's just, you'll is that the song I'm talking about?
I think you're actually referring to No Fear
number
for
7,
the Setting
No
Sun.
Fear for the Setting Sun. Yeah, it is a good example, my bad. But yeah, if you listen to that song, you'll see that the guitar riffs and the vocal melodies are actually, they're not perfectly in sync, they're not the same throughout, but they do kind of accent each other and kind of, I don't know, they match in a lot of ways.
It is a growl there, so it's not exactly a vocal melody. However, what's really happening is that you have the guitars and the vocals on the same rhythmic pattern, but the guitar is playing this melody, which essentially is adding a melody behind the vocals here to make it sound like there's a kind of vocal melody that's happening.
Yeah, it almost sounds like almost like a harmony in a certain way.
Yeah, it's really cool how they do that.
Yeah, so we're going to listen to this album as we do throughout the entire week. Twilight of the Thunder God on full rotation, and we'll be back in a week to give you guys a full and final review of this album. So that's it for this first impression, if you want to call it that. And as usual, leave your comments down below. You guys picked this album. It was the number 1 vote from you guys, so leave your thoughts down below, your favorite tracks, all that fun stuff. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV
We'll
Fish.
see you guys in the next one. Keep those heads banging.